Hello, my dear students. How are you? Welcome to the beautiful channel Padhai Ka Kavach. Myself Tosip sir. Today we are going to discuss about family of salts. My dear students, this is the one of the most important part of this unit number 2, acid, bases and salts. In our previous sessions, we have discussed about various properties of acids and base, indicators, the importance of pH, how the pH scale is determined. So the topic was ended at that point, and now we will start a third and the last portion of this chapter, salts. So before going to discuss about salts, let us know how the salt is chemically formed. Here is the list of some common salts that is utilized in our day-to-day life or in our laboratories. The first type is sulphate salts. Students, whenever the salts need to be categorized, they are categorized on the basis of cation or anion. मतलब या तो वो कैटायन के सॉल्ट्स होते हैं या तो एनायन के सॉल्ट्स होते हैं. कैटायंस आर दी पॉजिटिव एंड एनायंस आर दी नेगेटिवली चार्ज्ड. So this 5 type of salts are sulphate family salts. जिसकी family कौन सी है? Sulphate, because they contain the SO4 ion as their chemical constituent. Potassium salt is known as K2SO4. Potassium sulfate is known as K2SO4. Sodium sulfate Na2SO4. Calcium sulfate CaSO4. Magnesium sulfate MgSO4 and copper sulfate CuSO4. So basically, students, you notice that the all salt contains the SO4 ion, and that is why it is called as sulphate salt family. Then after the another 4 types of salt is sodium chloride, sodium nitrate, sodium carbonate and ammonium chloride. So among them, the 2 salts are categorized as chloride salt, sodium chloride and ammonium chloride, because as a part of their chemical constituent, it contains the Cl ion, okay, Cl minus ion. And another 2 salt is considered as sodium salt, sodium chloride and sodium nitrate, because they contain this 3 salt, sodium chloride, sodium nitrate and sodium carbonate. These 3 salts are containing the sodium as their basic cation constituent, okay. So this is called as sodium salt family. So these are some common examples of the family of salts. Now we need to discuss about the types of salt which we are utilizing in our day-to-day life, and it is mostly derived from the common salt which is known as NaCl. यानी कि जो ये सारे सॉल्ट है उन सभी का डेरिवेशन जो है वो किया जाता है सोडियम क्लोराइड यानी कि NaCl में से. So common salt or NaCl is a basic raw material to manufacture the other type of salts, and we will discuss as per our syllabus about 4 types of salts. First is sodium hydroxide, baking soda, washing soda, bleaching powder. So these are the 4 other chemicals that is derived from the common salt. यानी कि ये जो 4 प्रकार के salt है पाउडर फॉर्म में, इसे कॉमन सॉल्ट में से डिराइव किया जाता है. So let us discuss in detail about first kind of salt, sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide. Students, as we know that all the salts, this kind of 4 salts are derived from the common salt NaCl. So first of all, we will study about the formation procedure of sodium hydroxide. Then after, we will understand the products that we obtain through this process, and last, utilization of that product. Okay. So first, how the sodium hydroxide is manufactured. When electricity, students pass through the NaCl solution. Take a solution of NaCl, मतलब पानी के अंदर नमक डाल के उसका solution बनाया जाता है, and then after we need to pass electricity from the solution, and then after through this process it decomposes, मतलब the sodium chloride solution decomposes to form sodium hydroxide. So this is the simple procedure to form the sodium hydroxide. Take a sodium chloride solution, pass the electricity, and it will form the sodium hydroxide salt. Aqueous solution of sodium chloride is known as brine solution. So sometimes students, this is asked in examination, that salt solution is known as, or other name of the salt solution is brine solution. ब्राइन सॉल्यूशन कहे या तो सॉल्ट सॉल्यूशन कहे, सभी का मतलब एक समान ही होता है. द प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड क्लोर अल्कली प्रोसेस बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट्स फॉर्म्ड. क्लोर, क्लोरीन, NaOH, alkali. This is one of the most important point that we need to note in this topic. This sodium hydroxide manufacturing process is known as chlor-alkali process because the products are forming, first is chlorine and second one is alkali. Alkali means one kind of base and it is sodium hydroxide. So according to the output products form, the process is named as a chlor-alkali process. So let us understand by the figure how this process works. So as I told you students, in this apparatus, मतलब यहाँ पे जो अरेंजमेंट की गई है उसके अंदर दो नोड्स लिए हुए हैं मैंने यहाँ पे, बिकॉज आई नीड टू कंडक्ट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिटवीन दी टू नोड्स. तो यहाँ पे एक कैथोड, ये है एनोड, सॉरी ये है एनोड, ये है कैथोड. दिस इज अ पॉजिटिव टर्मिनल, दिस इज अ नेगेटिव टर्मिनल, एंड इन बिटवीन दिस टू टर्मिनल्स बैटरी इज कनेक्टेड. So whenever the electricity pass through the brine solution, so now we need to know where the brine solution is lying. So on the one side of this beaker or this arrangement, we will put the brine solution inside the beaker and it is mentioned here. After that, the ready-made product of sodium hydroxide is taken away through this section. मतलब from the left section brine solution is going inside and from the right side the NaOH is take outside. Okay, so this is the basic procedure of arrangement. इस तरीके से अरेंजमेंट हम कर सकते हैं. So chemical process के दौरान होता क्या है, when the NaCl यानी कि जो NaCl का aqueous solution है जो वाटर के साथ हम बनाते हैं, तो उसके अंदर जब हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पास करते हैं तो उसमें से NaOH फॉर्म होता है, सॉल्यूशन के फॉर्म में ही होता है, इट इज नॉट इन द सॉलिड फॉर्म. सिमिलरली क्लोरीन प्रोड्यूस होता है क्योंकि आउटपुट प्रोडक्ट के फॉर्म में हमने देखा कि क्लोर अल्कली प्रोसेस जो है उसमें से दो इंपॉर्टेंट आउटपुट हमें मिलते हैं, एक है क्लोरीन गैस और एक है सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड विच इज अल्कली. लेकिन इसके साथ साथ कैथोड यानी कि नेगेटिव टर्मिनल के ऊपर हमें एक और चीज मिलती है, हाइड्रोजन गैस. एंड दिस three products are very useful in industrial sector as well as in a domestic sector. ये तीन प्रोडक्ट यानी कि सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड, क्लोरीन और हाइड्रोजन, इन तीनों का इस्तेमाल सबसे ज्यादातर इंडस्ट्रीज के अंदर किया जाता है. हाउ इट इज, लेट अस नो. As I mentioned here, we will get chlorine gas from the anode side and hydrogen gas from the cathode side. Okay, so sodium hydroxide solution is nearly formed on cathode. यानी कि सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड का जो सॉल्यूशन हमें मिलेगा, that solution we will obtain on the right hand side at here. The ionic formation lead to the production of sodium hydroxide because as we know that the salt solution contain the NaCl ions, in which Na is a positive ion, Cl is a negative ion. So after adding into the solution and passing the electricity, the ion is dissociated. Na will form the positive ion, Cl will form the negative ion. So the positive ion attracted on the negative side and negative ion attract on the positive side. As we study in the electrostatic force, two opposite charges attract each other. So Na which is plus attract to the cathode and Cl minus attract to the positive terminal. Okay, so negative ions are forming on the anode side and positive ions are forming on the cathode side. Okay, so H plus ions which is lies inside the water, also formed and is in form of gas. So this is the ionic formation of Na plus, H plus, Cl minus and OH minus ions. Now let us understand what are the uses of these three products: chlorine, hydrogen and sodium hydroxide. First is chlorine. As we know, students, whenever we go to the swimming pool or in a water park area, the water contained inside the swimming pools are having a such kind of smell, and that smell is because of the chlorine, because the management is adding the chlorine inside the swimming pool, inside the water rights to preserve it. मतलब पानी के अंदर खराबी ना हो और पानी शुद्ध रहे, इसके लिए वो पानी के साथ साथ क्लोरीन ऐड करते हैं. Third is PVC. We know, students, there are plastic pipes that we are using for the pipeline network, and to manufacture that pipe, polyvinyl chloride material is used, and as we know that it contains the chloride ion, so it is because of the chlorine. Disinfectants. Chlorine is also utilized as a disinfectant. मतलब अगर हमें कोई जगह को डिसइंफेक्टेंट करनी है, कि जैसे हम कोविड-19 के समय पे देखते हैं कि सैनिटाइजेशन एक वर्ड इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो सैनिटाइज करने के लिए जो इस्तेमाल किया जाता है सब्सटेंस का, वो क्लोरीन है. CFC, क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन, विच इज अ वन काइंड ऑफ रेफ्रिजरेंट. एयर कंडीशनर के अंदर और रेफ्रिजरेटर के अंदर जो बर्फ बनाने के लिए गैस इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, उसके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी क्लोरीन का इस्तेमाल होता है. उसके बाद है पेस्टिसाइड्स. The farmers utilizing the pesticides to prevent the attack of germs and certain kind of insects. So, in the manufacturing of pesticides, chlorine is utilized. Use of hydrogen. As we know, at some places hydrogen is used as a fuel. Second is margarine. In the production of margarine. Margarine is nothing but a one kind of fake butter. यानी कि नकली मक्खन है एक प्रकार का मार्गराइन. एंड थर्ड इज एमोनिया फॉर फर्टिलाइजर्स. यानी कि when we need to form a fertilizer or to produce a fertilizer, as a part of raw material we need ammonia, and ammonia is manufactured by the hydrogen, with the help of hydrogen. Okay. उसके बाद है सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड के यूजेस. So sodium hydroxide basically is used for degreasing of metals. यानी कि तेल से, ऑयल से या तो लुब्रिकेशन से जो भी मेटल के पार्ट्स है वो चिपचिपे हो जाते हैं, उसकी सतह के ऊपर ग्रीस और ऑयल जम जाता है, तो उसको क्लीन करने के लिए द सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड सॉल्यूशन इज यूज्ड. सेकंड इज टू मैन्युफैक्चर सोप्स एंड डिटर्जेंट्स. In the manufacturing of soaps and detergents, this sodium hydroxide is utilized. Third is in a paper making from the wood pulp, the sodium hydroxide is utilized. And fourth is artificial fibers. To manufacture the artificial fibers like rayon, nylon, acrylic, polyester, this sodium hydroxide is utilized. So dear students, this is all about sodium hydroxide solution. We have some discussion regarding the formation of sodium hydroxide, which is the another name for this sodium hydroxide manufacturing process, which is known as chloralkali process. The understanding of this figure, then after chemical process and utilization of the three products. So here sodium hydroxide explanation is ended. Now moving to the another kind of salt, which is a bleaching powder. ब्लीच. स्टूडेंट, ब्लीच वर्ड आपने कहीं ना कहीं सुना होगा. द बेसिक मीनिंग ऑफ द ब्लीच वर्ड इज टू वाइटन समथिंग, यानी कि किसी भी सब्सटेंस को ज्यादा सफेद करना, उसे कहा जाता है ब्लीच. सो ब्लीचिंग पाउडर का इस्तेमाल जनरली, अगर उसका इस्तेमाल मैं अगर आपको कहूं, तो ब्लीचिंग पाउडर का इस्तेमाल कपड़ों को सफेदी बख्शने के अंदर किया जाता है. ओके. फर्स्ट इज, अब देखते हैं उसमें हाउ द ब्लीचिंग पाउडर इज फॉर्म्ड. Chlorine gas is used for the manufacturing of bleaching powder. So the product of chlor-alkali process that we already discussed in our previous section. So this output product from this process is utilized for the further manufacturing of bleaching powder. Bleaching powder is produced by the action of chlorine on dry slaked lime. यानी कि ब्लीचिंग पाउडर को बनाने के लिए ड्राई स्लेक्ड लाइम के ऊपर से क्लोरीन गैस को पास ऑन करवाया जाता है. एंड दिस इज दी बेसिक फंडामेंटल process to manufacture bleaching powder. So let us know how it is formed. So once we have the calcium hydroxide solution, which is known as dry slaked lime, and then after when we pass the chlorine gas from the calcium hydroxide solution, it will slowly make the CaOCl2, which is nothing but the bleaching powder. This is the chemical equation of bleaching powder. Calcium oxychloride CaOCl2 plus H2O. So parallelly the water is also produced. Bleaching powder is also known as CaOCl2, and the another name of the bleaching powder is calcium oxychloride. Okay. Then after, now we will study about the use of bleaching powder. The first use is to bleaching cotton and linen in the textile industry, for bleaching wood pulp in paper factories. So first, as I already told you, that to bleach means to whiten something. So to provide a whiteness to the cotton cloth or to the linen cloth, it is utilized in a textile industry. Second, to make a wood pulp for making a paper, such a white type paper. So for that purpose they are using the bleaching powder. Second is for bleaching washed clothes in laundry. लॉन्ड्री के अंदर जो सफ़ेद कपड़े हैं उसको ज़्यादा सफ़ेदी देने के लिए इसका इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. थर्ड, as an oxidizing agent in many chemical industry. As we know that the bleaching powder equation is CaOCl2. So this contain the oxygen, and if it is containing the oxygen, then it can provide oxygen to the another substances. So that is why it is utilized as a oxidizing agent in many chemical industry. Fourth, to make drinking water free from germs. Means if is there any soil particles, if is there any insects or some kind of germs are present inside the drinking water, then the calcium oxychloride is utilized for cleaning or to make it a potable water. Okay, so these are the four kind of uses of bleaching powder. Okay, that's it. तो आज का सेशन हम स्टूडेंट्स यहाँ तक रखते हैं. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में लास्ट सेक्शन इसका डिस्कस करके चैप्टर कंप्लीट करेंगे. थैंक यू. स्टे ब्लेस्ड, स्टे ट्यून्ड.